Hello and welcome to the Volleyball England National Cup and Shield draw here at the Volleyball England HQ in Loughborough. This will be for the 24-25 season, and we are excited to bring you a new version of the draw live for the very first time. Firstly, I will introduce myself, Dennis Sharp. I am your host for today's draw alongside the home team drawer Beth Willits and the away team drawer Lauren Go. Before we get started, let's go through a quick overview of the draw for today. There are 135 teams across 4 competitions, meaning we have reached record entry numbers for the third year running. Our competitions are split into the Men's National Cup, the Men's National Shield, the Women's National Cup, and the Women's National Shield. All those teams will be fighting for a chance at the 8 golden tickets to compete and win a national title at the Cup Finals in April. So as we have a new and exciting format for this season, we will play you an explainer video to break down how the draw will be conducted and what to expect, starting with the Women's National Shield.
The Volleyball England National Shield has transformed into its own standalone competition for the 2024-25 season. No longer will eliminated teams from the National Cup enter the National Shield. The eligible teams from the National Shield are made up from NVL Division 2 and 3 teams, all senior teams competing with an affiliated club, with the exception of London Premier and Bucks Premier teams. This season, the Women's National Shield has 42 entrants, 14 NVL Division 2 teams, 20 NVL Division 3 teams, and 8 regional and county teams. Of the 42 entrants, the teams have been split geographically into 4 zones: North, Central, South East and South West, with 2 southern zones consisting of 10 teams and the North and Central consisting of 11. Today we'll conduct the last 64 and last 32 draws. At the last 64 stage, zones with 10 and 11 teams will have slightly different draws. In the North and Central zones of 11, there will be 6 teams competing, meaning 3 ties, with the remaining 5 teams in each zone progressing to the round of 32. In the South East and South West of 10, there will be 4 teams competing, meaning 2 ties, the remaining 6 teams in each zone progressing to the last 32. At the last 32 stage, each team will be given a new number for the draw. This is based on the order in which they were drawn in the last 64 stage. So if the first tie of the last 64 was Bedminster versus Team Bristol, in the last 32 their number will be 1. All teams will have a tie at the last 32, and the exact matchups will be known after the last 64 matches on the 29th of September. The draw for the last 16 will take place on Tuesday the 5th of November, following the conclusion of the last 32 ties on the 3rd. At the last 16 stage, the 4 geographical zones will merge into 2 zones of 8 teams. The Northern Zone will consist of the North and Central teams, and the Southern Zone will consist of the South East and South West teams. From the quarterfinals onwards, the draw will be national. Good luck to all teams that are involved, and look out for your number today.
With that being said, we will be firstly drawing the last 64 for the Northern Zone. The Northern Zone has 11 teams, with 6 teams competing across 3 ties, and the remaining 5 teams progressing directly into the last 32. The first tie will be
Number 8.
Team number 8, the Miners Doncaster, newly promoted into Women's Division 2 North for the upcoming season after dropping 0 sets in the past season. And they will be playing against
Number 6.
Team number 6, Manchester Moss side, aiming to progress beyond their 3rd round elimination in the Shield last season. And for the second tie,
Number 7.
Team number 7, Newcastle Panthers, finished as champions of the Northern Counties Volleyball Association competition last season. They'll be playing against
Number 5.
Team number 5, Manchester Marvel Mystics, will be looking to bounce back from relegation in Division 2 in the NVL last season. And for the third and final tie,
Number 9.
Team number 9, University of Leeds, our first university team, narrowly missing out on retaining their place in the Bucks Premier League North last season. They'll be competing against
Number 4.
Team number 4, Manchester Marvels Mayhem, will be playing after finishing 3rd out of 8 teams in Women's Division 2 North. That concludes all the ties, and the remaining 5 teams will be progressing directly into the last 32.
Number 11.
The first team with a bye is team number 11, York Falcons. They will be hoping to reach the final this season after losing to Division 1 team in the NVL, Leicester Athena, in the Shield last season.
Number 1.
The second team with a bye is Hull Thunder, defeated York in the first round of the Cup before losing out to the Super League side University of Nottingham last season.
Number 10.
Team number 10, Wigan Seahawks, made it to the second round of the Shield last season after defeating Preston Panthers Volleyball Club.
Number 3.
Team number 3, Manchester Liberators, second season in the Division 3 North in the NVL, and will be looking to build upon their fourth place finish last year. And the final team with a bye will be
Number 2.
team number 2, Leeds Gorse, their third team competing in NVL Div 3 North this season alongside their fellow Leeds Gorse second team side. That concludes the North last 64. Up next we have the Central Zone last 64 with 11 teams in the zone again, 6 teams competing across 3 ties, with the remaining 5 teams progressing directly into the last 32. Up first, the first tie will be against
Number 6.
team number 6, competing in the Women's Shield. Loughborough Students finished top 5 in the Student Cup finals and made it to the third round of the Cup, defeating Nottingham Rockets, Tamworth, before losing out to Super League side Essex Rebels. They'll be competing against
Number 2.
team number 2, Birmingham City, a team on the rise, securing second place in the West Midlands Division 1 last season. For the second tie, we have
Number 9.
team number 9, Nottingham Rockets, finished 6th out of 9 teams in the Women's Division 3 Central, making it to round 2 of the Shield before losing out. They'll be competing against
Number 8.
team number 8, Newcastle Staffs, a new addition to the NVL Div 3 North after their first team earned promotion into Division 2 North for the upcoming season. And for the final tie, we have
Number 11.
team number 11, competing in the Women's Shield again, Tamworth Spartans secured a top half finish in Women's Division 2 North last season.
Number 1.
Team number 1, competing in the Women's Shield, Ashfield Vipers. They will be competing in NVL Division 3 Central this season. And that completes the last 64. The remaining 5 teams will progress directly into the last 32.
Number 10.
Team number 10, Sheffield, finished second in Women's NVL 2 North.
Number 7.
Team number 7, competing in the Women's Shield again, Loughborough Students Women's 2 this time, achieved promotion into Bucks Midlands Tier 2 without dropping only just 1 set out of 22 played last season.
Number 3.
Team number 3, Black Country, the second team, a young side competing in the NVL Div 3 Central this season.
Number 5.
Team number 5, Lincoln Cannons, finished third out of the 9 teams competing in the Women's Division 3 Central, defeated Dark Star Derbyshire second team in the first round of the Cup before losing out to Everton in the following round. And the final team with a bye
Is number 4.
team number 4, Dark Star Derbyshire second team, competing in NVL Division 3 Central in 24-25 season. They beat Black Country Women's 2 and Nottingham Rockets to progress to round 3 of the Shield before losing out to Newcastle Staffs Ladies. That completes the central zone of this draw. Up next, we have the Southeast last 64. In this zone, we have 10 teams competing, with 4 teams competing across 2 ties, and the remaining 6 teams progressing directly into the last 32. For our first tie, we will be having
Number 5.
team number 5, competing in the Women's Shield, Northampton, finished third in Division 2 Central this past season.
Number 10.
Team number 10, Worthing Women, are new to the NVL this year, with their men's team competing already in Division 3 Southeast of the NVL. For our second tie,
Number 9.
team number 9, Tonbridge, came second in Kent County Volleyball Association Division 1 League, losing just 2 out of their 9 games across the whole season. They'll be playing against
Number 2.
team number 2, Dartford Chargers, finished 9th in Division 1, meaning they will be playing in Division 2 this season. And for our third tie, the remaining 6 teams will be progressing directly into the last 32. The first team with a bye is
Number 1.
team number 1, Cambridge, recently promoted into Division 2 East for the upcoming season in the NVL.
Number 8.
Team number 8, competing in the Women's Shield, Tendring, finished 4th, 1 place above Spelthorne Sharks in Division 3 Southeast in the NVL.
Number 4.
Team number 4, MK City, relegated from NVL Division 1 last year, but will be looking to bounce back with a promotion and a solid performance in the Shield.
Number 3.
Team number 3, Leicester Athena Nova, finished 7th in Division 3 Central of the NVL last season.
Number 7.
Team number 7, Spelthorne Sharks, finished 5th in Division 3 Southeast last season.
Number 6.
Team 6, Reading Aces, finished 3rd in Division 3 Southeast, narrowly missing out on a promotion playoff spot by just 1 point. And that concludes the last 64 for the Southeast Zone. Up next, we'll be having the Southeast last 64. 10 teams will be competing in the zone again. 4 teams competing across 2 ties, with the remaining 6 teams progressing to the last 32. For our first tie, we'll be having
Number 6.
team number 6, Farnborough Volleyball Club, came first in the Berkshire Volleyball Association Division 1 competition, losing just 2 out of their 15 games played.
Number 5.
Team number 5, Cheltenham and Gloucester, recently promoted into Division 2 for the upcoming season and made it to the 3rd round of the Shield last season. For our second tie, this will be competed between
Number 2.
team number 2, Black Country, recently promoted into NVL Division 2 West for the upcoming season.
Number 9.
Team 9, Weymouth Volleyball Club, a new team to this year's NVL Division 3 Southwest. And the remaining 6 teams will be progressing directly into the last 32.
Number 7.
Number 7, Plymouth Mayflower Volleyball Club, came first in Southwest Volleyball Association Division 1 competition last season.
Number 1.
Team number 1, Bedminster Volleyball Club, a new addition to the NVL Division 3 Southwest for the upcoming season.
Number 8.
Team number 8, Portsmouth Urban Ladies Volleyball Club, earned a spot in playoff promotion into Division 2, narrowly missing out on promotion, losing a 5-setter in the final game.
Number 3.
Number 3, Bristol Volleyball Club, made it to round 3 of last year's Cup before being eliminated by 23-24 Super League side Cambridge ARU.
Number 4.
Number 4, Cardiff Volleyball Club, retained their place in NVL Division 2 for this season. They made it to round 3 of the Shield last season before eliminated by Reading Aces. And the final team with a bye will be
Number 10.
Team number 10, Womborne Volleyball Club, came 5th in the Women's Division 3 Central of the NVL last season. And that concludes all of the zones for the last 64, and we will be proceeding to the last 32 draw. There will be 4 ties per zone. As you can see from the screen, your team will be assigned a new number between 1 to 8. We'll start with the Northern Zone again. Starting at the Northern Zone last 32, we have
Number 6.
number 6, Wigan Seahawks.
Number 2.
Number 2, it will be between either Newcastle Panthers or Manchester Marvels Mystics. For our second tie, this will be between
Number 3.
number 3. This will be either University of Leeds or Manchester Marvels Mayhem.
Number 8.
Number 8, Leeds scores 3. For our third tie, this will be competed between
Number 4.
number 4, York Falcons,
Number 5.
and number 5, Hull Thunder. For our fourth and final tie, this will be competed between
Number 1.
team number 1, the Miners Doncaster, or Manchester Moss Side, excuse me.
Number 7.
And finally, number 7, Manchester Liberators. Moving on to the central last 32. Again, there will be 4 ties per zone. Up first for our first tie,
Number 5.
team number 5, Loughborough Students, second team.
Number 4.
Team number 4, Sheffield Volleyball Club. Next tie will be between
Number 8.
team number 8, Dark Star, second team.
Number 2.
Team number 2 will be either Nottingham Rockets or Newcastle Staffs 1. And for the third tie,
Number 6.
team number 6, Black Country Women's 2.
Number 7.
Team number 7, Lincoln Cannons. And for our fourth and final tie,
Number 1.
team number 1, Loughborough Students, first team, or Birmingham City.
Number 3.
And finally, team number 3, this will be between Tamworth Spartans or Ashfield Vipers. Moving on to the Southeast last 32. Again, there will be 8 teams and 4 ties. For our first fixture,
Number 7.
number 7, Spelthorne Sharks.
Number 3.
Number 3, Cambridge. For our second tie, this will be between
Number 4.
number 4, this will be Tendring.
Number 8.
Team number 8, this will be Reading Aces. For our third tie, this will be between
Number 2.
team number 2, this will be either Tonbridge or Dartford Chargers.
Number 1.
Team number 1, this will be either Northampton or Worthing Women. And for our final tie,
Number 6.
team number 6, Leicester Athena Nova.
Number 5.
Team number 5, MK City. And that concludes the Southeast last 32. Moving on, we will be having our final zone, Southwest last 32. Again, 8 teams will be competing across 4 ties. For our first tie, we'll be having
Number 3.
team number 3, Plymouth Mayflower.
Number 7.
Team number 7, Cardiff Falcons. For our next tie, this will be
Number 2.
team number 2, Black Country or Weymouth.
Number 4.
Team number 4, this will be Bedminster Volleyball Club. And for our third tie, this will be competed between
Number 6.
team number 6, Bristol.
Number 8.
Team number 8, Womborne Volleyball Club. And our final tie will be between
Number 5.
team number 5, Portsmouth Irvine Ladies.
Number 1.
And finally, team number 1, Farnborough Volleyball Club or Cheltenham and Gloucester. That concludes the draw for the Women's National Shield. Up next, we'll be having the Men's Shield. Before that, we'd like to introduce a short video to explain the Men's National Shield draw.
This season, the Men's National Shield has 52 entrants, 14 NVL Division 2 teams, 21 NVL Division 3 teams, and 17 regional and county teams. Those teams have been split geographically into North, Central, South East and South West, with each zone consisting of 13 teams. At the last 64 stage, there will be 10 teams competing, meaning 5 ties in each zone. The remaining 3 teams will progress to the round of 32 with a bye. The Isle of Man will automatically be drawn as an away team in the first tie, as they are required to play all National Shield matches as the away team. At the last 32 stage, each team will be given a new number for the draw. This will be based on where they were drawn in the last 64 stage. So if the first tie of the last 64 was Manchester Marvels versus Leeds Gorse, their last 32 number would be 1. All teams will have a tie in the last 32, and the exact matchups will be known after the last 64 matches have been played on the 28th of September. The draw for the last 16 will take place on Tuesday the 5th of November, following the conclusion of the last 32 matches on the 2nd. At the last 16 stage, 4 geographical zones will merge into 2 zones of 8 teams. The northern zone will consist of the northern and central teams, and the southern zone will consist of the southeast and southwest teams. From the quarterfinal onwards, the draw will be national. Good luck to all teams involved, and look out for your number today in the draw.
So again, firstly, we'll be drawing the last 64 of the northern zone. Please note that Isle of Man will be automatically allocated to the away team for the first tie. So up first, North, last 64, 13 teams in the zone, 10 teams competing across 5 ties, and the remaining 3 teams will automatically progress into the last 32. For our first tie, competing against Isle of Man.
Number 2.
Team number 2 will be the home team. Everton Dugongs will be competing against Isle of Man. They made it to the second round last season, but lost out to Coventry and Warwick Riga 1 before narrowly missing out on retaining their spot in the NVL Division 2. For our second tie, this will be between
Number 13.
Number 13, competing in the Men's Shield, York Vikings. They play in the NVL Division 3 North Central, having finished 3rd last season.
Number 12.
Number 12, University of Leeds. Their men's team competing in Bucks currently, and they finished 4th in the Northern Tier 1 last season. For the third tie, this will be against
Number 5.
Team number 5. In the Men's Shield, Liverpool. They beat Preston Panthers Volleyball Club and Newcastle Staffs Men's 2 in the first 2 rounds of the Shield last season.
11.
Competing against Liverpool will be the Miners Doncasters men's team, a non-NVL team, but their women's team recently achieved promotion in the NVL. For our fourth tie, this will be
Number 4.
Number 4. Competing in the Men's Shield, Leeds Gorse, their second team, are newly promoted to the NVL Division 2 North for the season, having finished runners-up in the NVL Division 3 last season.
Number 8.
Team number 8 in the Men's Shield, Manchester Moss side, a NVL Division 3 North side that narrowly missed out on promotion last season. For the next tie,
Number 7.
this is the final tie. Team number 7, Manchester Marvels Marauders, defeated fellow Manchester side Manchester Moss side and Everton Dugongs in the Cup last season.
Number 3.
Number 3, competing in the Men's Shield, Harrogate Volleyball Club beat Preston Panthers in the first round of the Cup before losing out to Hull Thunder. And the following 3 teams will be progressing directly to the last 32 of the Shield.
Number 9.
Team number 9, Newcastle Panthers. They won the Northern Counties Division 1 last season and new entrants into the Shield.
Number 6.
Team number 6, Manchester Marvels. just missed out on retaining their spot in Division 1, but will be looking to bounce back this season. And the final team with a bye.
Number 10.
Number 10, Sheffield Volleyball Club finished third out of their 8 teams in the Men's Division 2 North this past season. That concludes the North Last 64 draw. We will now move on to the Central Last 64 with 13 teams again competing in this zone, 10 teams competing across 5 ties, and 3 teams progressing directly to the last 32. For our first tie, we will be having
Number 10.
Number 10, competing in the Men's Shield, Tamworth Spartans, their second team, narrowly missed out on retaining their place in the West Midlands Volleyball Association Division 1 group.
Number 11.
Team number 11, competing against Tamworth, will be Telford, finished in third last season. For our second tie,
Number 7.
Team number 7, Loughborough Students Men's 2 will be competing in that tie. They won the Bucks Midlands Conference Cup last season, defeating Oxford Brooks 3-0 in the final.
Number 9.
Team number 9 in the Men's Shield, Nottingham Rockets. They finished in the top half of the Men's Division 3 North Central in the 23-24 NVL season. For our third tie, this will be between
Number 3.
Team number 3, Dark Star, defeated Marks Phoenix in the round 2 of the Shield last season.
Number 5.
Team number 5 competing against Dark Star will be Leicester. Made it to the round of 16 last season, where they were knocked out by Oxford. Competing in our fourth tie.
Number 1.
Team number 1, Birmingham City, clinched second in the West Midlands Volleyball Association in their Division 1 group.
Number 13.
Team number 13, Womborne, second team, narrowly missed out on promotion to Division 1 of the West Midlands Volleyball Association. And for our final tie,
Number 6.
Team number 6, Loughborough Students, their first team, finished second in Bucks Midlands Tier 1, narrowly missing out on a place of promotion into the Bucks Premier League. And the final team to be drawn,
Number 2.
Team number 2, Black Country second team, finished in the top half of the Men's Division 3 North Central, Men's Division 3 North Central Division of the NVL. The following 3 teams have gotten a bye into the last 32.
Number 12.
Number 12, Womborne, made it into the second round of the Cup before narrowly losing out to newly promoted Division 1 side, Bristol Volleyball Club.
Number 8.
Number 8, competing in the Men's Shield, Newcastle Staff's second team, promoted into the Men's Division 2 North after topping the Division 3 Northwest in the NVL last season. And the final team to gain a bye in this zone,
Number 4.
Team number 4, Dark Star second team. They finished 4th in the Men's 2 North Division in 2023 to 24. That concludes the Central Zone's last 64. Up next, we'll be having the Southeast last 64. 13 teams again in the zone, 10 teams competing across 5 ties, with the remaining 3 teams in the last 32. Up first for our first tie, this will be between
Number 6.
Team number 6, competing in the Men's Shield, Newbury, came top in the Berkshire Volleyball Association Division 2, dropping just 2 sets in 38 sets played.
Number 5.
Number 5, the away team, MK City, retained their place in Men's 2 Central Division for the upcoming season in the NVL. For our second tie, this will be
Number 4.
Number 4, London Bears second team, knocked out in round 2 of last season's Shield by Watford.
Number 2.
Number 2, competing in the men's shield, Cambridge Volleyball Club finished 5th in the men's 2 division Central and made it to the round 3 of the cup before being knocked out by the Super League side, University of Nottingham. For our third tie, this will be competed between
Number 8.
team number 8, Reading Aces. They made it to the round of 16 in the cup last year, but were knocked out by Super League side Richmond.
Number 11.
Number 11, Tonbridge, knocked out in the first round of the Shield last year and are looking to bounce back this season. And for our fourth tie,
Number 7.
team number 7, competing in the men's Shield, Northampton, got to the second round of the Shield after beating G&G Bedford last season.
Number 10.
Team number 10, Tendring, finished 7th in men's Division 3 Southeast. And for our fifth and final tie,
Number 9.
team number 9, Spelthorne Lions, finished 3rd in men's Division 2 Southeast with a 9-5 record.
Number 12.
Number 12, the final team, competing in a match tie in the round of 64. Watford made it to the round of 16 in the 23-24 season before being knocked out by Spelthorne Lions. The following 3 teams will gain a bye directly to the last 32.
Number 3.
Number 3, G&G Bedford, finished 6th in the Division 3 Southeast last season.
Number 13.
Number 13, Worthing, finished 3rd in Division 3 Southwest last season in the NVL. And the final team with a bye.
Number 1.
Number 1, Army Volleyball Club, made it out to the preliminary phases of the 23-24 season of the Cup before knocked out in the first round of the Shield against Team Side Out. And that concludes the last 64 draw for the Southeast. Up next, we will be drawing for the Southwest last 64, 13 teams in the zone, 10 teams competing across 5 ties, with the remaining 3 gaining a bye. For our first match tie,
Number 12.
team number 12, Weymouth's second team in the men's Shield, finished 6th in Division 3 Southwest of the NVL last season.
Number 1.
Team number 1, Cardiff Panthers, clinched 2nd in the men's Division 3 Southwest of the NVL last season. For our second tie, this will be between
Number 10.
team number 10, Wessex, competing in the men's Shield, secured a 6th place finish in the Division 3 Southwest of the NVL last season.
Number 4.
Team number 4, Oxford Volleyball Club. They made it to the semi-finals of the Shield last season, but were then knocked out by the runners-up of the competition, Wigan Seahawks. For our third match tie of this zone, we have
Number 11.
team number 11, Weymouth, have just hosted the Weymouth Classic Beach Tournament, finished 6th in the Division 1 last season.
Number 9.
Team number 9, Irvine Volleyball Club Portsmouth, made it to the round of 16 last season, but were then knocked out by Team Side Out. And for our fourth tie,
Number 7.
team number 7, Portsmouth United, a non-NVL team looking to make their mark in this year's Shield competition.
Number 5.
Team number 5, Plymouth UTV Dragons, came 2nd in the Exeter and District Volleyball Association Winter League in the 23-24 season. And for our fifth and final tie of this zone,
Number 8.
team number 8, Southants, competed in the Hampshire Volleyball League Men's Grand Prix.
Number 2.
And the final team competing in a match tie will be Coventry and Warwick Riga, reached the quarterfinals of last year's Shield, but were then knocked out by Oxford. That concludes those teams competing in match ties, and the following 3 teams will gain a direct bye to the last 32.
Number 6.
Team number 6, a non-NVL team, Portsmouth Phoenix, looking to make their mark in this year's Shield competition as well.
Number 13.
Team number 13, Wiltshire Mavericks, clinched 5th place in their division of the NVL, finishing only 1 point behind Richmond Bucks. And the final team with a bye.
Number 3.
Nuneaton Volleyball Club are new to the NVL this year and they will play in Division 3 Southwest. And that concludes the last 64 draw of all the zones, which brings us to the last 32 draw. This will be 4 ties per zone. As you can see from the screen, your team has been allocated a new number between 1 to 8, and we will start from the northern zone again. In the northern last 32, our first tie will be
Number 6.
number 6, Newcastle Panthers.
Number 4.
Team number 4 will be either Leeds Course second team or Manchester Moss side. For a second tie,
Number 1.
team number 1 will be Isle of Man or Everton.
Number 7.
Team number 7 will be Manchester Marvels. For our third tie, this will be
Number 8.
team number 8, Sheffield Volleyball Club.
Number 5.
And they will be competing against team number 5, Manchester Marvels, Marauders, or Harrogate Volleyball Club. And for our final match tie,
Number 2.
this will be either York Vikings or University of Leeds.
Number 3.
And finally, number 3, Liverpool or West Park Miners. That concludes the draw for the Men's National Shield. Up next, we'll be having the Women's National Cup draw, but before that, we'll be having the Central last 32 draw. Again, there will be 8 teams competed across 4 ties. So our first match fixture will be between
Number 3.
number 3 will be either Dark Star or Leicester Volleyball Club.
Number 7.
Team number 7 will be Newcastle Staff's second team. For our second match tie, this will be
Number 4.
team number 4 will be either Birmingham City or Womborne second team.
Number 5.
Team number 5 will be Loughborough Students or Black Country second team. With our third match tie, this will be between
Number 2.
team number 2, Loughborough Students second team or the Nottingham Rockets.
Number 6.
Team number 6 will be Womborne Volleyball Club. And for our final match tie of the Central Zone,
Number 1.
team number 1, Tamworth Spartans second team or Telford.
Number 8.
Team number 8, Dark Star second team. And for our following zone, this will be Southeast last 32. Again, a reminder that there will be 4 ties per zone. For our first fixture, this will be between
Number 1.
number 1, this will be either Newbury or MK City.
Number 8.
Team number 8 will be the Army Volleyball Club. For our second fixture, this will be between
Number 6.
team number 6, G&G Bedford.
Number 3.
Team number 3, Reading Aces or Tonbridge.
Number 5.
The first team in our third fixture will be Spelthorne Lions or Watford.
Number 7.
Team number 7 will be Worthing. And for our final fixture of this zone,
Number 2.
team number 2 will be either London Bears second team or Cambridge Volleyball Club.
Number 4.
And finally, the team to be drawn is either Northampton or Tendring. That concludes the Southeast last 32 draw. Up next, we'll be having the Southwest last 32 draw, the final zone of the Men's National Shield. For our first fixture, this will be between
Number 7.
team number 7, Wiltshire Mavericks,
Number 2.
team number 2, this will be either Wessex or Oxford. For our second fixture,
Number 1.
team number 1, Weymouth second team or Cardiff Panthers.
Number 8.
Team number 8 will be Nuneaton Volleyball Club. For our third fixture, this will be between
Number 6.
team number 6, Portsmouth Phoenix.
Number 5.
Team number 5, Southampton or Coventry and Warwick Riga. And for our final fixture of the last 32,
Number 4.
team number 4, Portsmouth United or Plymouth UTV Dragons.
Number 3.
Number 3 will be either Weymouth or Urbon VC Portsmouth. And that concludes the draw for the Men's National Shield. Up next, we'll be having a short explainer video for the Women's National Cup this year.
The National Cup for the 24-25 season is its own standalone competition. Teams from Division 1, Super League, London Premier and Bucks Premier divisions can all enter in the National Cup. This year, the Women's Cup consists of 18 entries. Those 18 entries will combine to create a last 32. In the last 32, 2 ties of 4 teams will compete, with 14 teams getting a bye into the round of 16. The last 16 will then be announced after the fixtures have been completed in the round of 32. The date of confirmation will be the Tuesday, the 5th of November, after the last fixtures on the 3rd of November have been played. Good luck to all teams that are involved, and look out.
So for the Women's National Cup, there will be 18 teams and we only need to draw 2 ties for the last 32. The remaining 14 teams will progress directly to the last 16. For the first tie,
Number 4.
team number 4, Durham Palatinates, Super League champions last season.
Number 18.
Team number 18, Wessex, promoted newly into the Super League after winning Division 1 of the 23-24 season. For our second match tie,
Number 3.
this will be team number 3, competing in the Women's Cup, Dark Star Derbyshire, safe in the Super League for another season, made it to the quarterfinals but got knocked out by Essex Rebels in the quarters.
Number 7.
And finally, team number 7 in the Women's Cup, Everton Belugas, finished 3rd in Division 1, only 5 points behind a second place spot. And that concludes all the match ties for the last 32. The remaining 14 teams will progress directly into the last 16.
Number 15.
Our first team will be Team Side Out Polonia. They were the cup holders last season and Super League runners-up.
Number 2.
The second team with a bye, Coventry and Warwick Riga, relegated to Division 1 for the 24-25 season, but made it to the quarterfinals of the cup last year, and they will be looking to bounce back this season.
Number 5.
Number 5 is Essex Rebels. They lost to Durham in the semi-finals last year, very narrowly missing out, finished 4th place in the Super League, just missing out to Mallory Eagles in the bronze medal match, which ended 3-2.
Number 9.
Team number 9, Leicester Athena Phoenix, last year's Shields runners-up, lost to London Bears in the final 3-0, unfortunately.
Number 1.
Another team with a bye, Cambridge ARU, finished 7th in the Super League, made it to the quarterfinals last year in the Cup.
Number 13.
Team number 13, Stockport, just missed out on promotion to the Super League last year in the playoffs against London Lionhearts.
Number 10.
Team number 10, London Bears, last year's Shield winners, looking to challenge themselves this year in the Women's National Cup.
Number 16.
Number 16 will be Team Sunderland. They joined their male teammates in the Cup this year, promoted to Division 1 this past season, going unbeaten in their NVL Division 2 North.
Number 12.
Team number 12 will be Mallory Eagles. They made it to the semi-finals, knocked out by London rivals Team Cyto Polonia, but managed to gain 3rd place.
Number 6.
Team number 6, Essex Trinity, promoted to Division 1 after topping their Division 2 central table in the NVL, losing only 2 matches across the whole NVL season.
Number 17.
Number 17 will be Waterloo Thunder, knocked out in the second round of the Shield last year by Onyx Women, who made it to the semi-finals.
Number 8.
Team number 8 is Leeds Gorse, made it to the quarterfinals last year, knocked out by Durham, finished 6th in the Super League.
Number 11.
Team number 11 gaining a bye as well, London Giants. Their women's side are promoted to the Division 1 after topping their Division 2 in the last NVL season.
Number 14.
And finally, the team gaining a bye in this competition will be University of Bristol's. They came 3rd in the Bucks Premier League South Division this past season. That concludes the Women's National Cup draw so far. Up next, we'll be having the Men's National Cup draw, but before that, we have an explainer video for you.
The National Cup for the 24-25 season will consist of teams from the Super League, Division 1, the London Premier and Bucks Premier Leagues. The Men's Cup for the 24-25 season consists of 23 entries. Those 23 entries will be placed into the round of 32, with 7 ties being played between 14 teams. 9 teams will receive a bye into the round of 16. At the round of 16, all 16 teams will take part with 8 ties. The fixtures for the last 16 will be confirmed once the games of the last 32 have been played. We wish all teams entering the best of luck and keep an eye out for your number when it is drawn.
For our final draw this afternoon will be the Men's National Cup. Amongst the 23 teams, we'll be drawing 7 ties, and the remaining 9 teams will progress directly into the last 16. For our first tie, this will be between
Number 10.
team number 10, Leeds Gorse men's side. They beat Manchester Marauders in the 3rd round, but then lost out to Super League side Stockport in the round of 16.
Number 20.
Team number 20 competing will be Team Sunderland. Finished 8th in the Super League, securing Super League competition by 2 points. For our second tie, this will be between
Number 19.
Team number 19, Tamworth Spartans. Their men's side gained a victory over Tendring, then led to a match against Squad in the competition last season.
Number 13.
Team number 13, this will be London Bears. Their women's team made it to the Shield final last year, so they'll be looking to match that performance. For our third tie, this will be between
Number 4.
Team number 4, their men's side, Durham Palatinates, last year's winners of the Bucks, Super League and National Cup.
Number 2.
Team number 2, Competing in the Men's Cup will be Bristol Volleyball Club. They were knocked out of the Cup last year by Exeter Storm, then got 2 wins in the Shield against Wimborne and Cardiff before losing out of the competition. For our fourth side will be
Number 7.
team number 7, Exeter Storm. They made it to the playoffs last season, resulting in their promotion into Division 1 this year.
Number 22.
Competing against Exeter will be team number 22, University of Nottingham, runners-up of last year's Bucks Championships and finished 6th in their Men's Super League. For our fifth tie, this will be between
Number 21.
team number 21, University of Bristol, came top of their Bucks Western Tier 1, earned promotion into Bucks Premier League South for the upcoming season.
Number 14.
Number 14, London Giants, promoted to the Super League for this season after a solid win against Newcastle Staffs in the playoffs. For our fifth tie,
Number 16.
team number 16, Newcastle Staffs made it to the round of 16 last year but narrowly lost out to Black Country. They'll be looking to bounce back as they play in Division 1 for the 24-25 season.
Number 15.
Team number 15, Mallory Eagles, most successful team in the National Cup, lost last year's Cup final to Durham. And for our sixth tie,
Number 23.
team number 23 will be the Shield finalists last year, Wigan Seahawks, missing out on the trophy narrowly to squad.
Number 18.
Team number 18, competing in the Men's National Cup, is Stockport. Knocked out by Durham last year in the quarterfinals after making it there, but put up a solid performance after being newly promoted last season. And for our final tie, this will be the seventh. That was the final tie of the competition, and the remaining 9 teams will progress directly to the last 16.
Number 17.
The first team with a bye to the last 16 is team number 17, Richmond Dockwins. And for our second team with the bye,
Number 11.
team number 11, Lincoln Cannons, knocked out of the Shield last season but are newly promoted into the NVL Division 1 this season.
Number 9.
Team number 9, gaining a bye as well, is IBB Polonia London, knocked out by Essex Rebels in the quarterfinals after a thrilling 5-setter game.
Number 6.
Team number 6 is Essex Rebels. They finished 3rd in the Super League after a 5-set thriller in the Final Four against Mallory Eagles.
Number 5.
Team number 5, gaining a bye, is the newly promoted Super League side Essex Blaze.
Number 12.
Number 12, London Aces, were knocked out of the last year's second round by Exeter Storm, but will be looking to bounce back this year in the new Cup.
Number 3.
Down to the last 3 byes, we've got Cambridge ARU, knocked out of the Shield last year, but overall winners squad.
Number 8.
Number 8 is Hull Thunder. They made it to 3 rounds of the Cup last year, eventually getting knocked out by Durham and are newly promoted into Division 1.
And number 1.
The final team being drawn with a bye is Black Country. They finished 3rd in Division 1 last year, narrowly missing out of promotion. And that concludes our draw for this year's competitions in the National Cup and Shield. We will see you on court for the last 64 competing on the 28th and 29th of September, and the last 32 competing between the 2nd and 3rd of November. The next live stream will be on the 5th of November at 4 p.m. again, and thank you once again for watching.